You must use textual evidence in your argumentative writing for it to be effective. You need to use valid, recent, and reliable information to back up what you're saying. This helps develop your ethos and answers the question of why should I believe you from your reader. Your evidence should be from someone knowledgeable in the field that you are writing about, such as doctors, scientists, professors, etc. You can use articles like we're going to use today from reliable sources, and you need to fact check your information. When you cite your evidence, you must authorize it, meaning you have to let the reader know where it's coming from. Never just throw a quote in your paragraph without giving information about its origin. It's important to be as specific as possible and list all information about your source, including the author's name, their title, and the work that you're citing. An easy way to do this is to use the sentence starter according to. You can see this in the example at the bottom of the slide. According to James Alney, author of the Cambridge Companion to T.S. Eliot, the poetry has for its entrée and sufficient subject the enacted or embodied life of the poet. Pay close attention to the punctuation and capitalization as well. There are commas separating the appositive clause, which is author of the Cambridge Companion to T.S. Eliot, and you always need a comma at the end of an entire dependent clause, which in this case is according to James Alney, author of the Cambridge Companion to T.S. Eliot. Also notice that the first word of the quote is capitalized because it does not flow with the sentence structure. Finally, look at the parenthetical citation at the end of the sentence. The author's last name is in parentheses with the page number, and the period follows that parenthetical citation. The biggest mistake writers make with punctuating evidence is to include the period inside the quotation marks before the parenthetical citation. Next, we're going to look at a couple more advanced ways to cite your evidence. You can also introduce your evidence with a complete sentence. Here, notice that the colon separates the evidence from the authorization. In the sentence before this, I would have talked about this topic, and here I'm giving evidence for what I previously asserted. So here's my example. Joseph Evidence, in his article, The Revival of Metaphysical Poetry, discusses the reasons for this. That's the authorization, and notice the colon there separates that from the evidence. Another way to incorporate your evidence is to introduce it in a way that flows with the structure of a sentence. When the evidence flows like this, you do not need to capitalize the first word of the quotation. So notice that modern is the first word of our quotation there, and I said that Louis Manan says that modern life runs along its track of disenchantment and mystification. Because there is no interruption between the authorization and the evidence, you do not need a comma there, and you don't need to capitalize. If I took the word that out, then you would need a comma in between says and modern, and you would capitalize modern. So you've seen 3 ways to incorporate evidence in your writing. Each way is correct, but it's most effective when you switch them up so your writing does not get repetitive.